You know that the lead actress in one of these films was never paid fairly and has publicly said she regrets making it to this day? We'll tell you exactly which film and exactly what she said. But first, Hollywood buried all 10 of these movies. And some of them are absolute masterpieces. Stay till the end to find out why. 10. Weird Science, 1985. Let's kick things off light. John Hughes, the guy who gave us Ferris Bueller, made a sci-fi teen comedy about two nerdy guys who use a computer to literally build their perfect woman. Yes, really. The result? A living, breathing person played by Kelly LeBrock. The film cost around $8 million to make and pulled in over $38 million at the box office. Not a bomb, but definitely forgotten. It is loud, ridiculous, and absolutely 1980s to the core. It doesn't take itself seriously for even 1 second. And honestly, that's what makes it fun. Weird Science is pure, harmless, over-the-top fantasy. Think of it as a Saturday morning cartoon that somehow got a movie budget. If you're already loving this list, smash that like button right now, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into forgotten film history. 9. Barbarella, 1968. Now we go back even further, way back to 1968. Barbarella is a French-Italian sci-fi film starring Jane Fonda as a space explorer traveling through a psychedelic galaxy full of danger and adventure. The movie was based on a French comic book. It had a budget of roughly $9 million, which was enormous for its time. The film didn't exactly set the world on fire with critics. But look around you. Everything from Star Wars costumes to music videos by artists like Duran Duran, who literally named themselves after a villain in this film, owes something to Barbarella. It is colorful, bold, and completely unafraid to be strange. The production design alone is decades ahead of its time. If you want to understand how sci-fi visual style was invented, this is your starting point. 8. Zardoz, 1974. Okay, deep breath. Zardoz. Where do we even start? Sean Connery, James Bond himself, running around in a red diaper-style outfit, carrying a gun, in a world where a giant stone flying head declares that the gun is good. No, we did not make that up. Released in 1974, Zardoz was written and directed by John Boorman, who also made Deliverance. The film divided audiences completely. Most people were confused. Some were fascinated. It bombed hard at the box office. But here's the thing, Zardoz is actually asking big questions. It explores what happens to a society that achieves physical perfection and lives forever. What is desire? What is purpose? What makes us human? These are not easy questions. The movie buries them inside one of the weirdest visual experiences in cinema history. That takes genuine creative courage. 7. Species, 1995. 1990s had a thing for blending science fiction with creature horror, and Species is one of the best examples. The story follows a human-alien hybrid named Syl, played by Natasha Henstridge, who escapes from a government lab and goes on the hunt. The alien design was created by H.R. Geiger, the same artist behind the original Alien creature, and it shows. The film earned around $60 million worldwide on a $35 million budget. It wasn't a massive hit, but it wasn't a disaster either. What makes Species special is its raw, biological energy. It taps into primal fear in a way that most sci-fi films don't bother to do. It's not subtle. It doesn't pretend to be art, but it commits fully to its concept and delivers a genuine thriller wrapped around some of the most striking creature design of the decade. The sequels never came close. 6. The Man Who Fell to Earth, 1976. Now we slow things down. Way down. The Man Who Fell to Earth is a 1976 British sci-fi film starring David Bowie as Thomas Jerome Newton, an alien who arrives on Earth searching for water to save his dying planet. And here's the wild part. Bowie wasn't really acting. His real-life personality at that time was so otherworldly, so genuinely alien, that director Nicholas Roeg basically just pointed a camera at him and let it happen. The film earned mixed reviews. It struggled commercially. Critics didn't know what to do with it. But over time, it has become recognized as one of the most important science fiction films ever made. It doesn't rely on spaceships or laser guns. Instead, it uses loneliness, addiction, and loss to tell its story. There's a deep sadness to this film that sticks with you long after it ends. Bowie called it one of the most important experiences of his career. Watching it, you understand why. 5. Gattaca, 1997. 1997 was a massive year for science fiction. Men in Black dominated the box office. The Fifth Element dazzled audiences. And then there was Gattaca, a quiet, slow-burning film that almost nobody saw in theaters. It earned just $12 million against a budget of $36 million. A genuine box office disappointment. But Gattaca is one of the most visually and intellectually beautiful sci-fi films ever made. Ethan Hawke plays Vincent, a man born naturally in a world where genetically engineered humans are superior. Uma Thurman plays Irene, a woman with a heart condition who risks everything for love. The film's retro-future look, featuring mid-century architecture, tailored suits, and an almost entirely warm amber color palette, was groundbreaking in 1997 and still feels fresh today. More importantly, Gattaca's story about genetic discrimination, human identity, and the drive to overcome our limitations feels more relevant now than ever. As gene editing technology becomes real, this film isn't just science fiction anymore. It's a warning. A deeply romantic, stunningly filmed warning that Hollywood somehow managed to almost completely ignore. 4. The Fifth Element, 1997. Okay, here's where the list gets complicated. The Fifth Element was not a box office bomb. It earned over $263 million worldwide in 1997. But masterpiece? At the time, many critics called it shallow, silly, and over the top. They were not entirely wrong, but they were also entirely missing the point. Director Luc Besson designed this film like a living comic book. Every single frame is packed with color, movement, and invention. The costume designs by legendary fashion designer Jean-Paul Gaultier are some of the most creative ever put on screen. Bruce Willis, Mila Jovovich, Gary Oldman, and Chris Tucker are all operating at maximum energy. And the world Besson created, with its flying taxis, alien languages, and intergalactic opera singers, is so fully realized that it feels genuinely alive. The film gets better every time you watch it. Details you missed on the first viewing reveal themselves slowly over years. That is the mark of a real masterpiece. Not perfect storytelling, but a fully imagined world that holds up decades later. The Fifth Element isn't just fun. It's a complete artistic vision executed with total commitment. 3. The Substance, 2024. We jump forward now to 2024. The Substance is the most recent film on our list, but it has already earned a permanent place in the Cult Classic Hall of Fame. Directed by Coralie Farjat, the film stars Demi Moore as Elizabeth Sparkle, a television fitness instructor who uses a mysterious substance to create a younger, more perfect version of herself, played by Margaret Qualley. What follows is one of the most extreme, visceral, and unforgettable body horror experiences in modern cinema. The film won the Best Screenplay Award at the Cannes Film Festival. It received a 7-minute standing ovation at its premiere. Critics called it bold, disgusting, brilliant, and necessary, sometimes all in the same review. The Substance takes the idea of society's obsession with youth and physical perfection and stretches it to its most extreme possible conclusion. It is not a comfortable film. It is not supposed to be. Underneath all of its shocking imagery is a genuinely emotional story about identity, aging, and the impossible standards placed on women in entertainment. Demi Moore's performance is raw and career-defining. The film had a reported budget of around $17.5 million, and has already grossed over $50 million worldwide. It is a film that people will be talking about for decades. Under the Skin, 2013. Under the Skin is not a movie you watch. It's a movie you experience. Jonathan Glazer's 2013 masterpiece stars Scarlett Johansson as an unnamed extraterrestrial entity who takes the form of a human woman and drives around Scotland looking for men to lure into a terrifying void. The film was shot partly using hidden cameras on the streets of Glasgow. The men that Johansson interacts with in the early scenes are real members of the public who had no idea they were in a movie. That makes those scenes deeply unsettling in a way that no amount of special effects could recreate. The film earned just $5.5 million at the box office against a budget of $13 million, a financial disappointment. But artistically, it is untouchable. Under the Skin has almost no traditional plot. Instead, it builds its world through sound design, silence, and hypnotic visual rhythm. Micah Levi's score is one of the greatest film scores of the 21st century, a creeping, inhuman sound that makes your skin crawl. Johansson gives the performance of her career here, using her body and her presence rather than dialogue to convey an alien consciousness, slowly becoming aware of what it means to be human. Under the Skin is a film about loneliness, identity, and what it means to be seen. It lingers in your mind long after the credits roll. 1. Life Force, 1985. And here we are. Number 1, Life Force, released in 1985 and directed by Tobe Hooper, the man who gave us the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Poltergeist. Life Force is possibly the most wildly ambitious, completely unhinged, and genuinely thrilling sci-fi horror film of its decade. The story begins with a British-American space shuttle mission to Halley's Comet. The astronauts discover a massive alien spacecraft hidden in the comet's tail. Inside, they find 3 humanoid beings in suspended animation, 2 males and 1 female. They bring them back to Earth. That's where things go extremely wrong. The female alien, played by French actress Mathilde May, awakens in London and begins draining the life force, the literal soul energy, from human beings. What follows is equal parts vampire film, zombie movie, alien invasion story, and apocalyptic nightmare, all happening simultaneously in the streets of London. The film had a budget of $25 million, making it one of the most expensive British productions of its time. It earned only around $11 million at the box office, a devastating loss. But here's what the box office numbers don't capture. Life Force is genuinely spectacular. The practical effects are extraordinary. The scale of destruction is breathtaking. And Mathilde May's performance is unlike anything else in science fiction history, wordless, magnetic, terrifying, and unforgettable. The film was ahead of its time in almost every way. It asked for an audience that wasn't ready for it yet. 40 years later, that audience finally exists. 10 films, 10 buried masterpieces. Hollywood forgot about them, but you don't have to. Which one are you watching first? Drop it in the comments. And if this list opened your eyes to something new, hit that subscribe button. We find the films everyone else missed. See you in the next one.